Kaiju number 8 ended, but left a trail of plot holes stomping through the story. Here are the biggest questions that were left unanswered. The first question: why did the mysterious parasite choose Kafka? What secret in Kafka's past made him the perfect host for the most dangerous kaiju power in existence? Out of everyone, why that 32-year-old kaiju cleanup guy? When the parasite found Kafka, it didn't just pick him at random, it literally said, "I found you." That one line makes it clear that there's something special about him. However, this was never visited again. This is one of the most important plot points in the entire manga, and that one line of explanation was all we got. Just bibbidi bobbidi boo, you're now a kaiju. One theory is that Kafka might actually be a descendant of the samurai who died fighting the Meireki era monster. That would explain why in his flashback he sees the battle from a first person's perspective, as if he's reliving something from his own bloodline. Another possibility is that it all comes down to compatibility. Just like the Defense Force, members have to sync with numbers weapons. Maybe Kafka's body was uniquely suited to hosting the parasite's power. And then there's the most fascinating angle, the connection to Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. In the novel, the protagonist wakes up transformed into an insect and becomes isolated from the world. Kafka Hibino's journey mirrors this almost perfectly. He turns into a kaiju, hides it from his friends, and struggles to exist between two worlds. In a way, he's living out a modern-day metamorphosis. But whatever the actual reason is, it's not explained. Next question: how do other countries deal with the kaiju threat? If monsters walk the earth, why do they only seem to know the streets of Japan? Kaiju number 8 kept its lens locked on Japan, never showing us what was happening beyond its borders. It's not the case in JJK, it's not the case in My Hero Academia, not even the case in Solo Leveling. Sure, the Kaiju Defense Force was set to be famous worldwide, which hints that kaiju are a global threat, but that's all we got. No mention of other defense forces, no clue if numbers weapons exist outside Japan, and no explanation for why no one was helping when Japan was getting wrecked. Even stranger, none of Japan's rivals or allies ever stepped in. No political fallout. No opportunists taking advantage of a nation constantly under siege. It's almost like other countries just don't exist in that world. The third question is, where did the Meireki era Dai Kaiju come from? Just when we think humanity's worst nightmare is behind them, an even older shadow rises to remind us we don't know the full story. While number 9 was a big bad villain for most of the series, when it was taken down, an even bigger threat emerged: the Dai Kaiju of the Meireki era. This was a monstrous beast that almost destroyed the entire Kanto region centuries ago. This new monster became the big bad literally, and the MCs needed the power of friendship to finally take it down, but it left me with more questions than answers. I mean, where did it come from? Why was it so powerful? How was number 9 able to control such a beast? Was it the actual intelligence behind number 9? So many questions, but no answer. It was a terrifying beast, but its backstory was never fully explained. The only hint was that it looked like a bunch of kaiju clubbed together. So was it some sort of chimera type creature that just grows from dead parts of kaiju? Up next, where do the kaiju come from? And if despair can create a monster, why hasn't humanity's endless suffering birthed more? The series was all about humanity's war against these massive, destructive monsters. But one big mystery still hung over the story. Where did kaiju actually come from? Even inside the manga, the characters don't really know. In chapter 58, Hoshina brought up a theory that kaiju were formed when Earth's faults produced immense energy and strain, which then acted on underground substances in nearby animals, turning them into monsters. But there is a problem with that idea. The insect that created Kaiju number 8, according to the manga, it wasn't the Earth that birthed it, but despair itself. The parasite born from a deep, overwhelming desire to kill kaiju. It's possible that Kaiju number 8 was a special case, but maybe the only one of its kind. But that still doesn't tell us anything about where the regular kaiju came from. Also, Kaiju number 6 caused the deaths of more than 200 Defense Force members. How come that didn't end up creating another parasite like the one that gave powers to Kafka? The questions keep coming. Next one is, will humanity ever eliminate the kaiju? The real question isn't if humanity can win, it's whether this war was ever winnable to begin with. By the end of Kaiju number 8, the story wraps up on a positive note. Kafka and his squad are alive, stronger than ever, and still serving in the defense force. But here's the catch. The kaiju never actually stopped coming. Japan is still under attack and the monsters remain a constant part of everyday life. And that makes you wonder, will kaiju ever truly be defeated? Or are they simply a permanent feature on this world? Maybe humanity can keep pushing its technology and teamwork to match them. But the story almost hints that kaiju are more like natural disasters than enemies you can wipe out for good. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen had a clear reason for this. As long as negative emotions existed, so would cursed energy. However, there is no clear answer to this question in Kaiju number 8 because there was no clear explanation about where the kaiju came from either. Up next, why did Kafka lose control? A single blackout of rage appeared, vanished, and was never explained. And maybe it could have been a hint at an abandoned plotline. In chapter 36, during the fight with Isao Shinomiya, Kafka completely lost control of his kaiju powers. He went wild and overwhelmed Isao with relentless attacks, and his appearance even changed a bit after he went berserk. But the strange part, this was the only time in the entire manga that Kafka ever lost control like that. And right after, he wasn't even able to transform into his kaiju form for a while. The weirdest thing is that the story never explains why it happened. No reason, no follow-up. It's just left hanging and never brought up again. Maybe this was the author's foreshadowing at creating an ending similar to Demon Slayer, when Tanjiro almost turned into a demon. The next question is, are there any other humans that are compatible with kaiju? A human turned into a kaiju. What if that's not actually good news for humanity? In the world of Kaiju number 8, not just anyone can wield the number's weapons. These weapons, crafted from the remains of powerful kaiju, seem to have a will of their own, almost as if they chose their users rather than the other way around. And that opens up a huge question. If certain humans can sync with numbers' weapons, then could there be others, besides Kafka, who are actually compatible with kaiju themselves? Think about it, Kafka didn't just bond with kaiju power, he became one. So what if he isn't the only anomaly? Maybe there are others out there with the potential to merge with a kaiju, or worse, humans who might willingly give themselves over to kaiju power. Could the next Kaiju number 8 already be walking around, hidden among the defense force or even outside Japan? Next question. Does Kafka's kaiju form have any other abilities? He gave up his heart for strength, but what secrets still hide within his kaiju form? As number 8, Kafka showed off some seriously impressive abilities. Super strength, insane speed, incredible durability, and even devastating energy blasts. By the final battle, he took it a step further and unlocked an even stronger form by sacrificing his own heart. But here's the thing, there are hints that Kafka's power goes way beyond what we've seen. Take his very first transformation. After swallowing the parasite, he turned into Kaiju number 8 and escaped the hospital. While running through the streets, he suddenly sprouted multiple tentacles from his fingers, and even from his lower body, clear sign of shapeshifting. But that ability is never brought up again. Now imagine if Kafka could actually control that power. If tentacles were just the beginning, what other abilities could be hidden inside him waiting to surface? Next is, what the heck is the story between Kafka and Mina? What if everything Kafka has done is actually a waste of time? This relationship was one of the most important. They both inspired each other to keep getting stronger so that they could fight stronger kaiju. But it was never clear whether the two were romantically interested in each other or not. I mean, there's a lot of people who wanted the two of them to end up together, and some who appreciated that they were just friends. But the final chapter didn't give us any clear answer about whether or not there was a romance at all. And the final question is, where are the other numbers' weapons? 3 numbers' weapons are missing from the story, and the kaiju behind them might be the most terrifying we've ever seen. The numbers' weapons are easily one of the coolest parts of the Kaiju number 8 universe. These weapons, forged from the corpses of the most powerful kaiju ever to attack Japan, always steal the spotlight when they show up. Some of the best moments in the manga came from them, like Gen Narumi pushing his numbers weapon to the point of actual foresight, or the brutal showcase of numbers weapon 6 in action. But here's a catch. 3 of these legendary weapons, numbers 3, 5, and 7, were never revealed. We don't even know what kaiju they were made from. No designs, no backstory, nothing. Just imagine how epic it would be if we finally got to see those weapons unleashed. So these are some of the points I know needed to be addressed in Kaiju number 8. Did I miss any, first of all? And I also want to say that these aren't the only things wrong with Kaiju number 8.